Last weekend I ran my first ever 50 miler, which is the first race in the season in preparation for a 100-mile race in June. Every run I do has a specific intention, and in this run I wanted to focus on my pacing and my nutrition. I decided a good measure of whether I succeeded in my approach would be whether I can even split the race and not drop too much pace. This is a bit mean. The race was just under 2 marathons of distance, so could I run the second marathon in the same speed as the first? Today we're going to look at the Chester 50 Ultra and see if I can meet my target and see what other lessons I learned along the way. This race got hard and I need that finish line. Every single long distance race I have ever done, I have made the same mistakes. I haven't eaten enough consistently and I've gone out too fast. So in this race I wanted to focus on my nutrition by trying to take on 300 calories every hour. And I wanted to focus on my pacing by keeping my heart rate to the mid-130s. My healthy eating plan consisted of chocolate flapjacks, Snickers bars, jelly babies and gels, and I started off with 300 calories of Tailwind in each of my 500ml bottles. We were lucky in the race that it was sponsored by Tailwind, but I could definitely tell there was a difference between how I made my Tailwind and how they made their Tailwind. I wasn't getting 300 calories per 500ml, it was very watered down. Two things that helped me, and this is going to sound so simple, but before the race I actually looked at the ingredients and figured out exactly how many calories are in, for example, the flapjack or a Snickers bar or a handful of jelly babies. So it was easy for me to know how much I was getting in each hour. I'm being watched. The other crazy simple thing that I did was each hour I would move my food into the front left pocket of my Salomon pack. I always carry my GoPro in the front right pocket. There are bits of food packed around my back and any clothing that I need access to, but to get easy access to the food, front left pocket that I'd change every hour. As for pacing, the first 22 miles or so were pretty flat along canals and easy countryside, so sticking to a mid-130s heart rate was quite easy. A problem I encountered was that I didn't fully appreciate the elevation profile. Obviously the elevation profile is on the race's website and I did look at it, but the first 22 miles or so, which were all along canals, lulled me into a massive false sense of security. I figured, maybe I just read it wrong, this race is flatter than I thought. Stairs of doom. And then all of a sudden, around 24 miles, we hit some pretty steep hills. They were great fun and beautiful forest, but by this point I was feeling quite good and I started to use the downhills to try and make up time. I figured, if I'm feeling this good around the marathon mark or around the 30-mile mark, I must be on for a good time here, so let's pick up the pace. I can use these downhills to make some progress. But no, I am not Killian. Towards the end of the race my quads were absolutely smashed and I was kicking myself for picking up the pace on these downhills. So am I happy with my strategy? Overall I would say yes. I made mistakes but they weren't catastrophic and I've definitely learned lessons that I can carry through to the 100. This is awesome. I've never done a victory lap before. This is top speed though. And the big question, did I even split my 2 marathons? No, not by a long way. I was a whopping 45 minutes slower in the second half than the first. However, look at this elevation profile. All of the tough elevation came in the third quarter, so it really was a race of two halves from the perspective of the terrain. When I got back on the flat in the final few miles of the race, my minutes per mile were a bit slower than at the beginning of the race. However, they weren't significantly slower, so I'm actually quite pleased and I think my nutrition and my pacing strategy worked well for me. This actually feels a bit emotional. Oh, this is so hard, but so good. Cheers, thanks. Oh, thanks. If you want to see my first adventure where I got this totally wrong, you can watch this video here where I race Ultra Trail Snowdonia, the 50-kilometer race in the mountains. And until next time, have a healthy and happy week. Alcohol-free beer to finish. It's perfect.